Welcome back to my cave, once again, humans. Oh boy, okay, I have to be honest, I was doing a video on the 0.85 version of this game, and then the 0.86 version came out, and I have to admit, I did make a few critiques to the developers of this game, and I have to commend them because they actually did fix a lot of the well, let's start with this character. This guy is Mashuru. He is the grappler of the current build. And a big problem I had with the previous build was that a lot of his special moves were too sensitive. Basically, I would find myself pulling them off on accident, and that would screw me over a lot. Let me show off this guy's moves for a moment. Actually, a bit simpler than I'm used to a grappler having. Thankfully, now his moves work properly. Everything feels responsive, and he's pretty decent to play as. It's nice to see that the developers are working on this game. Oh, but by the way, I haven't even introduced this game yet, have I? This game is called Savagene. It is a furry fighting game with some unique characters. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of the art style in this game, but I could see some people digging it. And there are some interesting and unique characters, like there's a cassowary that basically doesn't use arms. That's kind of cool. There's 3 bunnies riding a mech. Ooh, that was cool. But I'll show all that later. Right now, I want to go through the, I guess you could call it the arcade mode on the hardest difficulty. Obviously, this game's not finished yet. There's no dialogue or endings yet, but still wanted to show off my gameplay with this. Dude, you are not fat enough to pull that off. Trust me. But I did want to play. I'm going to be honest, I tend to prefer grappler characters. They kind of get a bad reputation for being low tier. And I think a lot of it is people don't know how to get around a character being big and slow. Frankly, I love grapplers. I typically main grapplers. As far as the gameplay of this game goes, I'll admit it does feel just a tad clunky. It's not as combo heavy as I'd like, but then again, I don't know. I feel like Street Fighter is the same way, just a little more polished, but I don't know. They're working on the game, and I hope they can polish this game up. The fact that they're actually listening to feedback is promising, and like I said, I commend the devs for that. I have to admit, I'm playing on the hardest difficulty right now. They call it impossible, and I wouldn't call this impossible. The AI is a bit on the predictable side. They like to jump. They don't always jump, but they do quite a lot depending on how far away you are. And like I said, it does make the enemies just a tiny bit predictable. So, use a lot of anti-air moves, and I have to admit, I'm not entirely sure what the point of that move right there is when his other anti-air grapple move is stronger, but I wouldn't claim to be the biggest fighting game expert, but there might be a point that I just don't understand. Unfortunately, in the current arcade mode, all the fights take place on this stage. There are other stages. They just don't come up in this mode. I'll show them off later, though. I do plan on showing off a lot of the characters. And I just wanted to beat this mode first. Here we got Vanessa, another jumping bean. I guess she's supposed to be an anthropomorphic version of some kind of snake. She's kind of cool. Okay, that grappling move is pretty awesome. Like I said, I really like playing as grapplers. And I am glad they polish him up a little bit. Ironically, though, a lot of the other characters had the opposite problem for me, where they were, okay, I guess I can see it, since one of them sends the opponent farther away in case you want to get an opponent away from you. Dang it, I'm flip-flopping, I'm sorry. But anyway, I was gonna mention that some of the characters had moves that felt a tiny bit unresponsive, and some of the characters still do. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to go through all of it in this video, but I do hope the devs can play through it and see what works and what doesn't. Like I said, they're listening, and I commend them for that. And yeah, I might as well make a drinking game out of every time I say stuff like that, to be honest. Anyway, she was pretty easy, so let's see who's next. Oh, this guy. Groki is actually kind of tough. At least compared to the other characters, though he does have a lot of the same AI issues that the other characters have, where they like to jump a lot. Then again, would I want a more aggressive AI? I don't know. I don't like games that are too hard. I do feel a sense of accomplishment for beating a game that's really tough, but then again, I don't want the game to feel unfair. Still, I do feel like the impossible AI should be just a tiny bit harder than this. I do hope that's another thing that gets ironed out. I'd say the devs are listening, but I've said that a lot in a... What? That happened. Not gonna complain about that glitch. There's nothing really to complain about it, but still kind of funny. Alright, let's see if I can initiate what makes this guy kind of tough. He has this move he likes to do in the air that does quite a lot of damage. That's kind of what makes him so tough, but haven't really gotten him to do it yet. Guess we haven't really been in the air a lot. He kind of has to do it while we're both in the air, but like I said, it hasn't happened yet. I keep trying to do the down-down special, but there we go. It's strict with its timing. You have to be really deliberate, though the devs said they would change that in a later update, so that's cool. Alright, who's last? Yeah, I think there's only 4 opponents in this mode for now. I'm more surprised by the fact that this is the only stage you encounter in this mode, even though there are other stages you can select in Versus mode. Maybe none of them are finished except for this one, though some of the stages look pretty finished. I'll show them to you later. Let me beat this Gamook first. Alright, so anyway, business as usual. Got the big grappler guy, and I'm assuming Max is like the Ryu/Ken of the game. Then again, I felt like the Black Panther I just fought was like the Ryu and this is the Ken. Though, I don't think they have the same movesets from what I can tell. Then again, I don't typically play as the protagonist characters that often. Like, usually in a fighting game, the protagonist is like the one I play as the least. Except the dark brooding guy. I've never been a big fan of Genjiro or Iori or any of those characters. Then again, Kibagami Genjiro is the guy who made this quote famous. Kill you! Honestly, Samurai Shodown and its hilarious English. When even the title isn't spelled correctly, you know it's gonna be good with the English. And I'm not even talking like Mortal Kombat, where it's probably spelled incorrectly on purpose. I don't think Samurai Shodown was spelled incorrectly on purpose. I think that was an accident. And who could forget Victory! Which is what I just achieved. Congratulations! Like I said, I do hope they give us a little harder difficulty in one of the later builds, but that's all beside the point. Now let me show you some of the other characters. I'm not sure I want to do full commentary on all these matches because there's not much to say, but enjoy looking at them at least. I'm gonna cycle through all the stages, whether they are finished or not, and thinking about it, I do not want to play in this stage again. Or do I? Nope. I don't know how that menu came up, but whatever. Alright, let's pick a stage that's not that stage. Let's pick this stage.
Round 1, fight.
This stage looks pretty complete. I don't know why this stage isn't in the arcade mode, but anyway, this is Megan, the cow. This is another character I kind of like playing as. And in the previous build, her moves seemed less responsive. She's another character that improved in this build, as far as responsiveness goes. I do like the fact that she has her own moveset. She's not Balrog or Dudley. She has her own moves. And, I mean, that... Back in the olden days, characters would rip off Street Fighter, but nowadays we kind of know better. So nowadays we give characters their own movesets, and that's cool. Honestly, that mech is a... Oh my... Yeah, you see what's going on right here? Yeah. It didn't infinite him, but still. Anyway, the trio of bunnies and that mech, that's a pretty interesting character. It kind of reminds me of Cyber Wu from one of the SNK crossover games. I forget which one. I want to say SNK versus Capcom Chaos, maybe. Did that have Cyber Wu in it? Alright, let's play as the Sophie the Skunk. Let's pick her own stage. What am I doing? I guess I wanted to pick a different character.
1, fight.
Alright. That move kind of reminds me of the Arabian guy's genie move from Power Instinct 2 for some reason. And then we got these projectiles, which don't make much sense for Sophie. Anyone who has projectiles, for now, they all have these projectiles. The same sparky orb projectiles. I'm assuming they're placeholders for when they add the actual projectile effects for each characters. I do notice the special effects are lacking in general, but it's to be expected. This game isn't anywhere near finished, I don't think. But they do have quite a bit going already, and I think it's kind of cool what they got so far. I wouldn't say Sophie the Skunk's the most attractive character, but then again... And I'm not the biggest fan of the art style in this game, but that's just me. You might be different. I don't know. Aside from that move, Sophie herself kind of reminds me of Joker from Savage Reign / Kazuna Encounter. Alright, let's pony up, because we're playing as Kyle. On this unfinished stage, doesn't look unfinished, it looks nice. One disappointing thing about this build is that every stage has the same track, but again, work in progress, and like I said, he has the same projectile as everyone else. Again, I shouldn't expect everything to be finished at this point. Still, Kyle is... I don't think he has just a plain old standing projectile. I feel like he could use one. He does have that lariat kick. That's kind of useful. Alright. That wind pose kind of reminds me of someone. Come to think of it, it kind of reminds me of Terry Bogard. Might have been intentional. I mean, he's one of the greats. He's one of the all-time legends of fighting games, so if you're gonna take influence from anyone, that's a pretty good pick. Jack himself kind of feels familiar. I don't know, all his moves seem... I can't pinpoint most of them. He has this crawling move that kind of reminds me of, what was that guy's name from Saturday Night Slam Masters? Or, whatever it was called. The sequel. Saturday Night Slam Masters 2. I want to say his name was Saber. Anyway, do you need to see the training room? I don't know. Well, let's see what this stage has to offer. Okay, this stage is definitely unfinished. Okay, so he's kind of got a Chun-Li thing going for him with the projectiles. One travels far, the other not so much. His moves are... That move is kind of stuff. That move could be a little more sensitive. Also, Cameron is a cool idea. A cassowary that's tied in a straitjacket and only has his legs to work with, that's kind of neat. He kind of reminds me of Asylum from that one really bad Mortal Kombat ripoff game with the crummy graphics. Every time he would kill someone, he'd be like, "Look, Mom, no hands." And I can just imagine Cameron saying that when he wins. Though he's probably too sadistic to say that. Still, as a joke, it'd be funny. "Look, Mom, no hands." I'm not sure if that tree is supposed to be a wall or not. It might be, but like I said, this stage is unfinished. And I have to be honest, this tiger's moves are a little on the janky side, especially that palm move. And that double kick, I can imagine that having a higher variant, if that makes sense. One that goes higher, but not as far. Like, farther up, but not as far forward. It's hard to explain. Then again, my voice is just droning. I don't know. Alright, let's see what this stage is like. And whoa! Whoa! Okay. So there's a floating platform right where the player characters are standing. I know some of these stages are unfinished, but they could at least get rid of that. It's fine. It's fine. Just for future updates. This character's kind of fun. That kicking move's pretty fun. A little more stiffness on this character, but again, it's a work in progress, so I can cut him some slack. As far as the character goes, I can imagine this character is going to be popular with players. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just know foxes are one of the most common furry characters there are, and this character already has mass appeal for just being the speedy guy. At least he feels like the speedy guy. He's got some quick coverage with his moves. His kick combo move is quick. I guess he's supposed to be the rushdown guy, or at least one of the rushdown guys, the apex rushdown guy. I don't know. Typically, I'm not a big fan of rushdown characters, but I know they're very popular. Nah. That's actually kind of neat, having that freeze frame in the air. If for the wind pose and how it's shot, it sort of works. Alright, let's try out the average Joes. Let's try Kyle's stage, and oh, we're in front of a gas station. This stage feels a little more finished than the previous two, but I can't help but feel like this one's a bit unfinished as well. There's not a lot going on at the sides, and I feel like there could be, some bicycles, maybe a truck or something. I don't know. At least on the right side. On the left side, I can see Kyle on a sign. I know I'm stammering a lot, and my voice is very nasally. I kind of add commentary to games I want to show off. I want to show what these guys are doing, because I've always wanted a really good furry fighting game, and there really aren't that many options, unfortunately. Like, back in the Super Nintendo day, what, were you gonna play Brutal Paws of Fury? Lol. And as far as furry fighting games went back then, screw you, furries, that's all you're getting. Oh, okay, that kick combo right there, that's what I mentioned earlier. That thing's a beast. To be fair, though, I at least liked some of the ideas behind Brutal Paws of Fury. It was mostly the execution, and the character designs weren't that great either. Alright, let's try out the last stage besides the training stage, and what's wrong with this? This looks fine. This seems to have been presented as an unfinished stage, but looks fine to me. There's quite a bit going on. Maybe there could be something in the near background, but other than that, it looks like a gym with quite a few things going on. It looks fine. And sure, it wouldn't hurt to have just a little bit more, to give it more zhuzh, but Anyway, this is Vanessa. This is the last character to show off, or, well, come to think of it, I already did an arcade mode, but I did want to show off some of her moves. She's a finesse character. Also a pretty cool idea. Again, the moves are just a tiny bit unresponsive, but again, they listen. They're still working on this game. I understand. It's gonna be a rough start. And it is really hard to speak as someone who really doesn't have that much coding experience when it comes to fighting games. I did make a Mugen character myself, but even that used a template. I didn't create one from scratch. So, I don't know how much room I have to talk. Then again, just because you can't code doesn't mean you can't describe a good game feel. Like, how the game feels, you don't need coding to be able to say what a good game feel is and what a bad game feel is. And this game, for now, has an okay game feel. Like I said, I do hope these guys can polish up their game, because I'd really like to see this game become something pretty good. I don't know if they ever have plans of selling the game, but either way, I look forward to seeing this game get released. And before I end the video, I decided I'd go through what this is. It's kind of like in Street Fighter 4, where you have to pull off certain moves for certain challenges, but even more simplified, because they make you, they want, like, one of the challenges is just go left, go right, jump, crouch. Like, really? Doesn't that seem a little redundant? In any case, I did want to show off this guy's moves. And they are kind like that is just goofy, okay? That doesn't really fit a psychotic character. That's just kinda. And again. But maybe they could do something kinda fun with this character. Seriously, they should make him say, "Look, Mom, no hands." They should make him say that. That would be funny. And I noticed they don't have any win quotes or endings or anything yet, but I look forward to seeing what they got planned for these characters personality-wise. Okay, I'm not entirely sure what they want me to do. Punch, kick, I don't get it. And in a previous build, I noticed that with some challenges, if you complete them, you'll skip the next challenge and then go to the challenge after the next one, which is kind of weird. Also, there doesn't seem to be a checklist for what challenges you completed. That could be something added. I mean, it's not strictly necessary, but it would be nice to have. But anyway, that is Savagene, and I look forward to seeing this game get polished up. And until next time, I'm Baalf, and the cave is closed.